is a quick video on how to increase the flexibility and mobility in your wrists. If you are new to yoga, you may be experiencing some wrist pain because we bear a lot of weight on our wrist in yoga, and that's not something that the wrists were made to do. These are very little bones in here that were not made to bear weight. So typically what tends to happen if you are new to yoga and new to bearing weight on your hands like this is people tend to put all of their weight in the bottom of their palm here, right on the wrist. Or you may tend to place more of the weight towards the outer edge of the hand, and you may notice your index finger and thumb starting to lift up. And that may even create some pinching in the ulnar nerve there and create some numbness. So we're going to talk about just some quick exercises that you can do prior to your yoga practice to help strengthen and increase the flexibility and mobility of your wrist. And these exercises can be done, at different parts of your work day as well too. It doesn't have to be done always before your yoga practice. I know a lot of people, or at least for me, these exercises are boring. I didn't like them. I didn't want to do them. But it wasn't until I did them consistently that my numbness and my pain went away. So to begin, just first simply place your hands down on the mat and see where your hands land, what you typically tend to do. Do you have more of your weight back on your wrist? Is your weight more on the outer edge of your hand? And see if you can spread your fingertips wide, pressing down through all 10 fingers evenly, and almost have the palm of your hand, lift that off the mat a little bit. You may have heard of a yoga teacher, saying maybe something like, pretend there's a bug under your palm and you don't want to squish them. What that means, or why people say that, is to help evenly distribute the weight through the whole hand, to take some of the pressure off of that wrist joint. So coming to an all fours position, or you can even just sit your seat back on your heels. Just practice placing your hands down on the mat, all 10 fingers pressing wide, pressing down through the fingertips, and we're just going to walk out the wrists a little bit. So you can rock forward some to get a little bit more weight onto the hands, rocking back. We're going to take our hands out to either side, trying to keep those fingertips still spread wide, rocking to either side as you place more and more weight, turning the fingertips towards the knees. And again, rocking back and forth just a little bit. And then you're just going to keep doing that, walking back out to the side. And you can hold here, or you can sway a little bit to get a little bit more weight. Walking those hands forward. And then we're going to flip the palm up. So placing the back of the hand down on the mat. If you can do just one hand at a time. Walking the fingertips in towards one another. Just practicing putting weight on your hands in all different directions. And just take your time with that. Rocking a little bit side to side, with the palm up and with the palm down. Just keeping those fingertips nice and wide. The next exercise that we're going to do is just some wrist push-ups. So fingertips spread wide. You're going to lift up through the wrist, but leave all 10 fingers down on the ground. So just pushing up with the wrist and going down slowly. So once you push up, you don't want to just flop back down. So pushing up through those wrists, keep all of the fingers down and slowly lower down. Do that about 10 times. Keeping the engagement through the arms and the shoulders. Just really letting that movement come solely from the wrist. After you've done that about 10 times, come back and just shake it out a little bit, and you can give your wrist a little massage using your right hand to squeeze the left, and over onto the other side. Left hand squeezing the right, just massaging out that joint a little bit. You can roll out through the wrist. This is also really nice, working in one direction and then the other. You can also, when you're doing those rolls, if you tend to get your whole elbows and shoulders involved, you can hold on to the wrist to stabilize it, and then try and do those rolls nice and slow, working through all ranges of motion so that you can ensure that that motion is just coming from the wrist. And this takes a lot of focus. I even have a hard time doing it, while I'm trying to talk too. So doing that on one side and then the other. Just really going nice and slow. It's okay if you can notice my hand is like shaking because it's working really hard. I haven't done these in a little while and it shows, but this is really good. Even if I used to do a lot of this when I was I'm a big knitter, and I used to get a lot of numbness in my hands after I was knitting a little while. And so after doing all these mobility exercises, it would loosen up those nerves that are there and help with that numbness. Good. Can shake it out a little bit. And then also just practicing moving your fingers. I like to kind of one hand at a time spread my fingers nice and wide and make little circles with my fingers, just moving one finger at a time. So starting with a thumb, working in a clockwise motion, and then a counterclockwise motion a few times. Once you've done that, then moving on to the index finger and seeing if you can just move that one finger, middle finger. This is really, really good for your brain too, as you're creating new pathways. Having trouble doing it again while talking. New pathways of movement here. And onto the pinky. Good. Counterclockwise. And then onto the left hand. Then once you get really good at this, you can try and do both hands at the same time. And these are exercises that you can do any time of the day. They don't have to be right before your yoga practice. If you work at a desk or work at a computer, you can, take a few minutes. This would be, really good if you do work at a computer and you're doing a lot of typing, to just take a few moments to work on your wrist and your finger mobility. That's good. You can shake it all out. Your wrist and your finger mobility will help a lot if you develop any, if you have your hands kind of stuck in one position on a keyboard or typing a lot. This will help a lot with any pain or any stiffness that you may get in your wrist joint. So I hope that helps. Give it a try and let me know in the comments if this helped you in any way. And be on the lookout for some new videos for some other mobility exercises coming up for different areas of the body. Thank you.